Ooh, this is a good Jewish Gentile podcast, is it? We got Mo Mandel.
What?
Stand-up comedian, actor, producer, writer. Had an awesome show on Discovery Plus. You can look that up on your Roku TV thing, streaming, whatever, for Small Town Throwdown. This is Sweat Equity Podcast and streaming show, the #1 comedy business comedy podcast in the world. Pragmatic entrepreneurial advice and real raw dog talk. No apologies. Isn't that right, Lizzo?
Suck my pussy from behind.
All right. Okay. We get it. We're 2020's best small medium enterprise business advisory podcast in the United States. And 2021 best podcast and streaming entertainment studio Eastern United States media invented rewards hosted by Corporate Vision Magazine. Listen to us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere you listen with your ear holes. Give us a 5-star review. Write us any hole will do. Any orifice.
If you can hear through your other holes, use that.
If you can hear through your asshole, you can be a guest on this show. Hit us up, sweatequitypod.com, and we need video proof. This episode is sponsored by our new sponsor, Gut Intelligence Test Supplements. You want to know the flora and fauna? You want a gut biome diagnostic test? I want to know what's going on in my belly. I want to know what's going to tell me how I can optimize my life. Get 70% off Biome's Gut Intelligence Test and Supplements with our link for health insights, personalized food recommendations, and precision supplements formulated just for you.
And you get to mail your poop to somebody.
You get to mail your poop in. That's how they used to do it, the gut biome test. The link for that hookup is in the episode description. Let's get this party started.
Sweat equity. Sweat equity. Sweat equity. My sweat equity. My sweat equity. Sweat equity. What about my sweat equity?
Mo?
Yo, what up, man?
How you doing, bud?
What's up, man?
Yeah.
What's up? Sweet JCVD shirt.
Yeah. You know what that stands for.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Jesus Christ. Very.
You might as well be.
He is to me, I'll tell you that much.
I mean, that's the thing for me. Love Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Well, we kind of.
It's such a rejuvenating experience to sit down and just watch it and
what Mo doesn't
soak
know.
it in.
This was all ruse. This isn't Sweat Equity. This is the JCVD podcast.
Thought about doing it.
We just talked about
actually
Dude,
doing
I
it.
legitimately, for 4 episodes, had a podcast at the beginning of the pandemic called Jean-Claude
Shut
Van Damme.
up.
Jean-Claude Van Damme Girl. And it was going to be a action movie podcast. I made 4 episodes, and I was like, yeah.
Okay, cool. So you worked that out for me ahead of time. All right, cool.
Well,
Okay,
did you?
I still have the artwork. You can buy it off me.
Can you NFT it? What is
Right.
I love JCVD. I don't think as much as y'all. What did you glean out of those 4 episodes? Did you gain any insight?
Well, I mean, it was funny. I had sold a movie that I was getting paid to write that was an action movie right before COVID. So we were locked down, and I was just like going back and watching all these old movies. And my wife was like, yeah, you like watching these movies so much. You're so excited about it. Why don't you just do like a podcast about it? I was like, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just have different comedians come on and we'll talk about, our favorite old movies and our old. And then I realized it was just sort of like guys getting excited talking about a movie from 1994.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, who the fuck's going on? Let's do this.
I just don't think you're going deep enough. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a checklist.
Like, oh yeah, that scene where he broke the guy's neck, that was awesome.
Well,
I mean, Time Cop could be a whole season series of episodes right there.
There's such nuance to these movies that you got to pick up on. I mean, for one thing, Jean-Claude Van Damme, he's got to be one of the most prolific actors. The guy was making action movies every year and a half for, I don't know, 40 years. How old is he? 81?
I don't know, man.
Dude,
You lit up like a pinball machine. I haven't seen you this excited.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is
How
your
many other shirts do I have with actors on them?
This is your Bo Jackson. This is your Man Crush Hall of Fame.
I think you should take the torch and run with it. Although it's so funny, like with fucking podcasting, like there's every idea is being done. So I was like, oh, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I looked up, there's like 9 other Jean-Claude Van Damme podcasts.
Which one?
I know, but we do that because we have the comedy angle to be unique, but it doesn't. And even then, like, because we're so in our head about this has to be original. There's no cover bands in comedy, and we try to carry that and everything else. And it's like, look, there's a lot of business podcasts out there. There's a lot of comedy podcasts out there. We're just happy. We're always saying, like, if we just have a good amount of listeners, or just us two talking in a room for whatever amount of time to someone like yourself, for just have a good conversation, like that's good enough.
Jean-Claude shows his butt in like every movie.
Yeah, we could also just go back to Jean-Claude.
Mesh shorts are a bad idea.
Right? That's what we're doing?
Yeah, JCVD, dude.
He does show his butt a lot. That had to have been in the contract.
Oh, yeah.
There is a lot of gratuitous oiled up butt.
And no hair on his ass, I believe. Like, he's very hairless.
God, no.
He's almost Asian in that way.
Yeah.
Not in other ways.
Nothing? All right.
Yeah.
That took that to a screeching halt.
In this climate, if anyone identifies anyone by any race or anything, I just sort of ignore. I just don't engage in any way because I don't ever know how it be interpreted in like 8 years.
Are you that concerned with that kind of stuff?
Are you not famous?
Really. No one gives a fuck what I'm doing. But yeah, I doubt. But it is sort of fun. Sometimes I do think about it, like, because I looked at. I had to submit a script the other day for something, and it was only like 6 years old, and I reread it, and I was like, God damn, this is offensive now. Like, this was like written for NBC.
It was racist.
And they were fine with it.
Whoa.
I was thinking about this today. Calling people of color seems more racist than anything else when I read that.
Right.
Thoughts?
It
Anybody?
might as well say colored people.
Right. Like, I don't think.
What color were they?
Why are we doing that?
Yeah.
Why is that a thing?
Why do we keep talking? Why do we keep talking about it? You and me, I mean.
I don't know, but I think us 3 white dudes should figure it out.
We're going to get it figured out. What, we got 20
these
minutes?
3 white guys should get it done.
Well, at least you have the Jewish side to you. You got that. That kind of counts for something, right?
Oh, that's always been a real feather in our cap over the last 2,000 years. It's
Look,
really helped.
I'm a Gentile that wants to be Jewish. I'm the most Jewish Gentile. I'm all about it.
You brought me a Christmas present wrapped in Star of David wrapping paper. So
well, why do you want to be
Well,
Jewish?
that's because it's regifted.
You didn't even wrap it.
No, I wrapped it. My
wrap
rap
it.
game's getting good. No, I love my Jewish friends. How a lot of them are intelligent. A lot of them are very family oriented. Usually have a good work ethic. Sometimes pushed by fear or insecurity, but still. What Jewish people is like? What? How many people? Those 2% of America, I think. Maybe.
Where'd you get that number?
Something like that. I don't know. I feel like I pulled it out of my ass, but
I think we all feel that
maybe
way.
0.2. I don't know. I'm going to look it up while we're talking.
Why would we listen to the second one?
How about this? I always love how funny almost all my Jewish friends are. They're not hysterical, but they like not. I'm just saying.
What are you trying to say? They're mediocrely funny?
No, I'm just saying not all of them are fucking hilarious.
They're not Gentile funny. They're funny, but not Gentile funny.
I'm Presbyterian funny, which isn't very high on the ranking. Is what I'm saying is they're not as funny as Mo Mandel was what I was going to say.
Wow, really? Way to bring the nose up on that.
That Jesus killing thing, that was just a bit.
Yeah.
Jokes.
Yeah. Pontius Pilate was in on it, dude. He knew it was a bit.
Some people didn't get it. Look, we were workshopping.
I have a thing for Israeli chicks. I love Israeli chicks. I think they're the hottest.
Israeli chicks are hot.
Yeah, that's
I love. I don't know. I like the work ethic, but mainly I really like the camaraderie. Even if a Jewish person isn't funny, they recognize funny. I feel like. I don't know.
Yeah.
And everything.
I feel like this is like really deep fucking.
Everything surrounds on noshing. It's all about eating food.
Yeah, and it really dovetails with the beginning of our conversation because Jean-Claude, of course, is Orthodox Jewish.
Of course,
yeah.
Obviously, everybody knows that.
Yeah. How does he?
He never takes the yarmulke off.
Well,
he has a hair colored. It's the exact same as his hair.
Makes a lot of sense
in the movies.
If he's Orthodox, can't do electricity or anything.
People don't know that.
on the Sabbath, so he's probably just kickboxing all day. Like no electronics, nothing. No nothing from
He can only turn on the Sabbath. He can only turn on the lights by jump kicking the stove.
Yeah.
Where he has to jump kick a Gentile to kick it on. Yeah, it's a double kick. Look, man, I'm glad we kind of reconnected. It's been a while since we've talked. I think the last time we hung out, you were doing the Tampa Improv, and all I can remember was the last episode of Breaking Bad, I think. And we were trying to figure out, you were doing a show with Mike Stanley, who was also a very good headliner. And I remember you being like, God damn it, dude, you can't put this feature on. He's not a feature, he's fucking headliner. And then I was like, let's go watch Breaking Bad. And you're like, I'm too fucking pissed. It was like a Sunday night show. It didn't matter at all. I think you were like, I gotta go.
I do remember that weekend. Yeah, because Mike is like, he is very funny. And he was like featuring, which he shouldn't have been doing. He was clearly trying to like make a statement to the club that he shouldn't be featuring.
Yeah.
He would just go up there and like demolish for 20 minutes.
Yeah, he
like,
would murder. And then it was like, but you put yourself in this own hole. You were murdering too, but you felt like you weren't. And I was like, I had to be like the battered girlfriend. Like, no, you're doing good, man. You're doing all right.
Yeah, you know how it is. You know how insecure comedians are.
Yeah. But I think
I get that metaphor, how you're a battered woman. But
yeah, well, you're just like, yeah, you're doing great, huh? Like, I try to.
I'm sorry. Were you afraid I was going to strike you?
Right, exactly. What do we not know about Mo?
I didn't mean to put off the.
What are you, Max Baer? Jewish boxer?
Crack yourself up on that one, huh?
That's a good pull.
Going back to 1912.
Wow.
Hey guys, that's a pretty good pull for me.
Do we need to be here?
No, and you've been good to me since I was like a little jabroni comic. You know, asking you for advice and stuff. Yeah, you helped us get in the San Francisco Punchline. So I like to be grateful when anybody comes on the show. If there's anything like that maybe I didn't say thank you for previously, like 2008 or something.
That's awesome. I'm glad I did that. I don't quite remember that, but that's awesome. Oh, yeah, you were weren't you on a tour? It was like you and
Nick Hoff.
And
yep,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. We had the Walk of Shame, and then we did one with Susan G. Komen.
Where I know you from.
Before we realized Susan G. Komen doesn't do any research, and they're all about awareness. We didn't know that at the time.
Right. Are you aware you're using my shit?
Well,
I'm gonna sue you.
No. We worked with them. We went to the Dallas headquarters and
for them.
I had to write a business plan and send it to them to submit and all that stuff to work with them. Yeah. Bunch of stuff. You both are giving me like diarrhea face.
Dude, you wrote a business plan, dude?
Yeah, for a tour.
Dude, sometimes I look at myself doing these Zoom podcasts and I have like a resting, bizarre, like weird face. And I'm like, why am I doing that? I don't know what it is. It's like I'm squinting at the screen. So
your natural face to what Law was saying.
You know, that was just, yeah, it's like, I noticed that when I do any kind of like film thing. I did like an episode. Well, you that's why we got in contact. You texted me after I did Corolla.
Yeah.
And there's like, while I'm listening to him talk in certain moments, I just noticed my face is like in this fucking bizarre. I don't know what it is. It's not resting bitch face. It's like resting like dementia
Bizarro
face. I just look like confused and sort of scared. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well, first off,
it's like, did he just say what I think he said?
It's not a great look for a performer.
It's like, I'm almost mad, but I'm not mad yet. Say it one more time, and that's the face.
Yeah, your listening face is bemused. It's like confused, amused, not sure, somewhere in the middle, something like that. But
so then I try to remedy it by purposely like kind of holding a smile on.
No, don't do that.
Then
That's
you just
psychotic,
look like
dude.
Fucking idiot. Then you look like Hillary Clinton when she's giving like a speech like.
You were on Corolla. It was good. I listen every morning, kind of as I'm getting up and stuff. So it was a good surprise to see you were on as a guest. You had an amazing Jackie Mason gig. My worst gig ever was opening for him, and I was like, oh man, I loved every second of it. If you can give the cliff notes, you don't have to do the whole thing, but. Just you shot a movie with them that made.
Yeah, but then you got to tell me yours though, because I don't know that story.
Of course, I'll tell you everything, and I'll sweat the whole time.
When I first basically got an agent down in LA, they had me to represent Jackie Mason, and I had told them that I was a huge Jackie Mason fan, even though he wasn't big deal anymore at the time. Of course, this was in 2009, and so then at some point that year, he was producing some. Her indie movie, low budget, whatever movie. And they're like, oh, you want to audition? So I did, and I actually got it. And so I went and shot a movie with them in the Newark courthouse in Newark, New Jersey.
Good place to film. Yep.
Yeah, beautiful place to go. And I shot there for a month in this one room. It was one of those fucking stupid movies that all takes place in one room. It was like a 12 Men rip, satire.
That's right.
And it was just ridiculous. Like, I think he was only there because his wife wanted to do it, was producing it. I don't think he even had read the script. He didn't have the lines memorized at all. They would kind of have to feed him like line by line. It was ridiculous.
Well, my favorite part is when you tell him you're a comic and he tells you to tell him a joke, right?
Yeah, like every day I would tell him, because I knew his act by heart. I still know his whole like special by heart.
You grew up listening to him with your parents, I think, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, for Jewish people of a certain generation, Jackie Mason is like the biggest deal.
Yeah.
He was such a big deal for like Jews of my parents' generation.
Caddyshack too, bro. All the way.
Yeah, Caddyshack too, exactly. And like all the stand-up and stuff. So I would always tell him like, oh, I'm a comedian. He'd be like, oh yeah, you're a comedian? And he would never remember. And then finally the last day, he goes, okay, you're a comedian. Tell me a joke. And so I did my best joke of the time, which I thought he would like because it's kind of a ripoff of one of his jokes. Where I was like, I got a friend who's half black and half Jewish. He can open a history book up to any page and go, fuck. And he just goes, you know that joke's only funny because you say fuck.
That's
And he's
so funny to me.
Right.
No, I mean, he's right.
Kind of right. I tried it many times without saying fuck, and it never really got the same pop.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Instant feedback.
My only way
when
I heard that, I have thought about that since I heard you say it on Corolla's podcast, and I was like, the only thing I could think you could do with that joke was like the Mike Birbiglia think fuck, but don't say it. Like, how you kind of would dance around it, but pretty much say it in a different way without actually saying it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Another
funny thing about that joke is that is the only joke that I know of that somebody just outright stole from me. There used to be this guy at the Comedy Store who was like I don't know if he was a door guy, but he was like a low-level comic who would hang on the Comedy Store in like 2010 or 2011. And I remember him starting to do that joke. I'm like, dude, just so you know, like, I did that on Comedy Central like 6 months ago. So it's probably not the best joke to just steal. He's like, oh, no, I didn't steal. No, I have a cousin who's half black and half Jewish. I was like, all right.
I had a dude.
It's a little weird that it was worded exactly.
And a book. I have a book.
I had a dude steal a joke from me in the same show and then do it. Like, I was hosting at Room 5 on La Brea. It was LJ Montenegro, I think was his stage name. And like huge jacked black dude. And I had a joke about like, I think it was about like something about like rappers give shout outs for MLK, Malcolm X and stuff. Why don't they should be?
Oh, I know that joke. I love this joke.
Give a shout out for Lincoln and just like make it rain $5 bills. He got up, did the same thing verbatim. And then I was like, he's bigger than, like, he could kill me. So I was like, I remember
everybody in the audience is like, ha ha ha, yeah.
He's funny again.
Doing
the same joke.
He def jammed it up and it did better. And I was like, fuck.
It did better.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, man, that joke's awesome.
I can see that now.
And I was like,
well, it's also because the joke is hilarious. I always like that joke, but it is funnier if a black guy says it than a white guy.
For sure.
You know what I mean? It is sort of like a better point.
Well, is it funnier that he did it because you already said it too?
Well,
I think it might be.
That's actually pretty funny.
I think it's pretty fucking funny that he actually said it twice.
I don't think the crowd realized that's not cool. I think there's an LA crowd. We're lucky to have him in there.
I actually think it would be fucking hilarious.
It was just like,
I know that guy. He is humongous.
Yeah. And I don't know. It was just like, did he know he was doing that? And he just came off like really positive. And I was like, I don't know how to handle this at all. I think I was like 3 years in of doing stand-up.
It was so funny. The other day I got a chance to open up for Hassan Minhaj, and he was doing this huge theater of like 2 shows at this place. It's like 2,500 seater. And I hadn't seen him in a while. And he's got Hassan does this whole show now where he has like multimedia components and it's like a whole one-man show. And right before we go on, he's sort of like, he asked me, he goes, oh, so what does your wife do? I'm like, oh, she's a urologist. He's like, oh, he goes, oh man, I'm about to talk a lot about urology. He's like, because I'm doing all this fertility stuff that I've been doing, and a lot of my active beginnings about that. I'm like, wait, you're about to talk about fertility stuff? I was like, that's exactly what I was about to talk about for the whole time. He's like, oh yeah, don't do that. I'm like, oh shit. So right before I go on stage, I had to like completely scrap the 15 minutes I was going to talk about. And it went fine. It actually went really well. But I was just like, thank God I didn't talk about it. Because the first 10 to 15 minutes of his thing, it would have been so similar to what I was talking about. I would have felt so terrible.
What's so weird is we're kind of all up in our own head, not to be organized to even like kind of check in on that, even though it feels weird. Even if you're the headliner saying it to someone like, hey, what are you going to talk about? Because you're like, I should be able to talk. I should be able to navigate anything kind of if you're headlining. But at the same time, it's like when
urology is pretty specific.
I know, but I'm saying like,
right.
But there are guys that you open for that will be like, what are you talking about? And you're like, I'm like, I don't know yet. And they're like, we're going on in 5 minutes. I'm like, it'll come to me. And I'm like,
well, the thing is, like, ordinarily, I'm sure he wouldn't give a fuck, and I wouldn't give a fuck if I was headlining. But since he has a multimedia show, it's like, it's like scripted. Like, there's music cues, there's sound cues, there's video. So he couldn't just not do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, like, if I would have gone up there and been like, man, it's so hard to get away for the ovulation cycle and this, and then he talks about that, it would have been so annoying. I'm so glad that he told me that. Or like, I was able to change it. 15 minutes, it was easy. It was still a great set. It was easy, but it was still like, oh shit, that would have been.
Yeah, 15 minutes for you. I mean, I do remember you were kind of prolific in having so many jokes and just being like a factory and kicking them out. Like, that's got to be kind of nothing for you. Like, at this point, especially, you've been doing it how long? 20 years?
I think it's like 6,000 years now, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels like 6,000. Out of the 20 years, I know you said you saw what I wrote on Instagram, but yesterday was, I don't think it's been 20, maybe 16,
you just came
years.
In from Canada. You're punched.
Yeah,
you're a little
was
punchy.
the worst flight experience I think I've ever had.
Ooh, let's get into it.
Tell us.
Fucking nightmare.
Dad hate. I want to hear it.
So I get picked up in Edmonton, Canada, where it's like negative 1,000 degrees at like 5:15 in the morning.
Boilers.
Yeah, you realize like when you're booked in the cold places in the winter time and the hottest shit places in the summertime, you're like, I gotta step it up a little bit.
But the weird thing is, those are the best times to go because more people come to the club.
Right. No,
but
you're right.
It is taxing on your physical well-being. So I get to the airport at 5:45. My flight's at like 7, so I should be fine,
Uh-huh.
And or maybe it's even at 7:30. But it's one of those things where like I couldn't check in on the machine because American Vax cards are not the same as Canadian Vax proof.
What?
So I had to wait in the checkout line.
Mm.
It's like an hour-long wait. By the time I get up there, my plane leaves in 43 minutes, and their rule is you have to check in 45 minutes before. I'm like, but I literally couldn't because your fucking line is moving. So I missed that flight. It was a nightmare.
Ugh.
So then they're like, all right, so instead of flying from Vancouver to Portland, where I was going, they're like, you have to fly from here to Calgary to Vancouver to Seattle to Portland. I mean, just something insane. It was just going to be like a 3-flight monster. And I was like, this is crazy. So I fly to Calgary, wait around for 3 hours. Right as I'm going through security, they cancel my flight.
Oh.
So then I have to wait another 3.5 hours to take another flight to fucking Vancouver. I think it was like the whole day ended up being like a 15-hour journey. It was just unbelievable.
How were the shows in Edmonton? I hear that's like the good. Texas of Canada. Like that's
what they say. Yeah,
very rednecky kind of.
Well, Canadian rednecky. I mean, is not Tampa rednecky.
Whoa, right, whoa, hey, shots
fired.
They're
still north of Minnesota.
But
right, it's like they still are like free healthcare and education. So like I feel like every rednecky thing of Canada, like that just kind of brings it down to like
Connecticut here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a PG-13 Texas. That's the way I thought about it. Like it's just
a good way to think
a watered down kind of kind of a quieter redneck.
It is one of those funny gigs, and where like I have been to Edmonton now twice. I can't say I've ever seen more than the 4 blocks around the mall. Like you just stay near the mall, you hang out in the mall the whole time, and then it's like so many cities I've been to on this comedy journey, and I really only know like the 4 blocks around the club and the condo.
Yeah, well, you forget how like you think you're gonna you'll have these moments where you're like, I'm gonna, you know what?
See the world.
This is gonna be different. I'm gonna see the city this time, and then you're like, fuck, I'm fucking tired. Like I'm gassed. 2 shows.
You're like, how much is
3.
an Uber to downtown?
Right.
Oh, $20. No, I don't think I'm doing
And your friend's like, hey, bro, what time you go on? I'm like, the show's at 10. Just go at 10. Like I don't know I'm not giving you a minute marker. You're never that punctual ever in our fringe. Like that kind of shit. And they're like, you want to hang out before the show? No, I don't. No, I'll be pacing around or doing nothing. I want to sleep, How
are you before a show, Mo?
I want to say pensive.
Depends. I mean, if I'm just sort of like, working on some new shit, then I'm not, I don't know. It kind of depends. Like if it's a scary ass room, like most, rooms, usually, you feel like you can do your thing, but there's some rooms where that like they're just not going to be into what your vibe is. And so then it'll be a little more nerve wracking until you get them going.
I like going through the room a little bit, and just kind of feeling it, just feeling like even before the show starts, I'm like, you can kind of get a feeling like this crowd's going to be rowdy or this crowd's going to be tough or tight or whatever that is. But you're like, oh boy, this, and then you put like a donut on your own bat. Yeah. But you you do seem a lot more chill. I don't know if that's the sleep deprivation, but you do seem like you have a more chill demeanor now. Is that because you have a successful podcast, The Full Release with Dr.
Successful podcast we haven't done in a year?
I don't know. I was pulling up all the, like, what plugs do you have?
I'm really focused on building my YouTube thing right now. So people go to Mo Mandel on YouTube. I'm putting up a lot of different stand-up clips and videos. And part of what I was doing in Edmonton is I filmed my new hour. So I'm hoping that between that and some other tape, I can try to like submit to try to get like a special or something like that.
Nice, man. Or do the YouTube route like all the New York guys are doing,
Yeah, maybe that if I can get the numbers up. But I don't know. It's interesting. Why did I seem chiller? I guess. I mean, I'm married. I'm happily married. I got a great wife. I'm a little older, so probably chemically I'm a little more chill. But
yeah,
I don't know when the last time we saw each other.
Chill.
I mean, trying to think what I was doing. I was Tampa. Was I still drinking?
No. I'm talking like all interactions, not just like the last time I saw you in person, but like. You had some energy to you. I'm saying like this is a chill a McConaughey version of Mo.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of McConaughey comparisons lately.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm glad you picked up on that.
Anybody watching this on video is like, when will they say it? God damn it!
How did they get McConaughey?
How was that show you were doing, Small Town Showdown? I really loved the premise of it because I really. I don't know. Maybe it's the Tampa in me, but I always used to get mad. Like we'd watch ESPN, they never do any small city highlights because doesn't help their bottom line kind of thing. Like they'll be like, and the Bucks lost again. We'll show you one highlight kind of thing, and you're like, fuck. So I always have this weird like reverence for these small cities, especially after touring like in Texarkana, and like everyone's like, you're like the mayor of the town if you do a show there that doesn't have comedy or anything. I'm wondering how that show went for you. Was it fun? Was it exhausting?
Yeah. Small Town Throwdown was
Throwdown. Fuck. Sorry.
It's okay. You were very close. You got the first part of it, and that's really the most important part. That show was an idea I had for years, and I was trying to get it going. And the idea is that you go to these towns that have like really bad reputations and give the town a chance to kind of like redeem itself.
I love that.
Yeah. It's known as like the grossest town in America, or the ugliest town, or the most unhealtty town.
Lubbock, Texas was
most dangerous town.
Yeah.
That was the last.
What was
episode.
Lubbock known as? I can't even remember what that one was. It was. We went to Appleton, which was the drunkest town. Lubbock was.
I want to say it was like the most boring town or something.
Most boring town. You're right. Something known as the most boring town. So anyway, we shot those two cities, and it was great. And Discovery Channel was loving them, and then fucking COVID hit, and then they just fucked it.
Damn.
All of a sudden you couldn't travel anywhere. But those two episodes that we shot, I'm very proud of. You can still see them, I think, on Discovery Plus, and they're really good.
I remember you posted it. I watched the Lubbock one. I was like, that's an awesome idea. I like that it has an actually optimistic turn to it, other than where a lot of shows aren't like that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm from a tiny little town myself that is often reviled and stuff. So it was
Gary, Indiana.
Not Gary, Indiana. That would count.
You're northern California.
It would have been
right?
awesome if it was.
You're like you're north of the Bay Area, California, right?
Yeah.
Small.
Mendocino County is the town, but the town is called Boonville, California. Boonville.
Mm-hmm,
and it's just like this little kind of burg tucked into the mountains and stuff. And yeah, people would give it a lot of shit around there. And you grow up and always having to get appreciation for your hometown, and then realizing that's sort of being missed by people who are around it. So that was kind of the impetus for the show. It's a real bummer it didn't go too, because not only was it super fun and you got to try all these cool things in the towns, but like I was writing articles for USA Today for each town we went to.
Nice.
And it would have been like a really cool thing. But
the paper everybody gets at their hotel. Yeah.
I know. Fucking good old COVID. That's probably the biggest tragedy of the whole COVID pandemic is that show.
I
Totally.
agree.
Totally agree.
That's
First thing
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
And then my grandma, and then the bigger shows number one.
Right. But she probably had a lot
She
more
was gonna
time on her belt. This show only got to last for like a few months.
Well, the show was obese, so it had, it couldn't survive it anyway.
That's true.
Comorbidities and whatnot.
You guys probably beat COVID after a few weeks down there in Tampa, right?
Hey, I go on stage and say, "Fucking everybody should thank Floridian because we're the goddamn petri dish test state, right?
Welcome."
And then all this. We live in a weird misinformation, disinformation age, and it's like I just remember like, oh man, I really can't trust anything when they showed the beaches here, and it was like not only was it at an angle where people are really spread apart, but if you take it at an angle, it looks like everybody's bunched together. No, what beach have you gone to where you want to be around that many people? A, right, and then B, they found out the picture was a stock picture from another beach. Years ago.
7 years ago. Yeah.
Right.
So it's just like the cleanest place there is. Everybody knows that.
So
it's funny when I went to school I went to college in Santa Barbara, and the brochure is like you see the
I can imagine
dorms is like gorgeous view of the ocean, and then you go there and you realize they shot it at the exact angle so you don't see like the 5 oil derricks of the thing. It's like how did they? It's a special camera.
I always thought Santa Barbara was beautiful. Every time I've
it is
been.
Beautiful, but by the college there are just oil derricks all out there on the horizon, and they somehow magically shot it in a way where you didn't see them. It was pretty impressive little piece of photography.
Well, every time I've gone, I think my only analysis of the students there were they wear hoodies and cargo shorts, all the guys, everywhere, and then. Every time I've gone, I think I've done the wine tour where you go up the hill and go down all the way. You can go like Fez Parker, and then you keep bouncing around to all the wineries around there. So my memory is probably not too great. But what do you do? What do you do with this show? Because to me, I'm frustrated for you. It's a good show.
I don't know.
Can you kick it around? We don't know how this stuff works.
Well, the problem is it's just so frustrating because it was years and years and years of trying to sell that show. We had like one producer and he couldn't really quite get it going. He was good, but he just didn't quite have the connects, I don't think, over there. Or maybe things changed. I don't know. And then, because when I was first trying to do it, we couldn't even get a pitch with Discovery. And finally, I do it to these other producers and they brought this other guy. Anyway, so it was like a huge process. They gave us money to shoot like a sizzle, which we shot in Coalinga, California, where I was doing all this monster trucking in like the mud, which was really cool. And then, so they gave us the money to shoot those 2 episodes, those 2 cities. But the problem is, like, once they ultimately, they couldn't do it for, so many of these things are like the momentum. And once they have to kind of shut down the momentum because they can't do it, and then you revisit it like a year and a half later. And I don't even know if you could still do it now. The way things are going now,
Well, I was going to say, a lot of comedians lament doing stuff for a network because there's a lot of externalities they can't control it, right?
Totally. Yeah.
You're trying to make it a cheap show too, right? You want to have the best profit margin you can. That's why Netflix bought up all those stand-up.
I was going to tell you to make it yourself.
Well, they're like...
Right, but it's like, I know where you're going, and I thought about doing that, but that shit is just like... It's just...
Do a mini... but what about a mini version of it where you're going to Edmonton? I'll pull up your tour dates if you want, but... You're going to Plano, Texas, right? Like, make it a short. Just make it a couple minutes.
It's now a 4-minute thing.
Yeah, and
that's not a bad idea. I could do
a couple of those. Do 10 of them.
And
whatever.
I didn't even put it. I didn't even put it together.
You leave your camera on.
Yeah.
You get 4 minutes of shit over 2 days.
And you could probably look at the Wikipedia of the city and try to find a couple interesting things. Plus, you're sharp on your feet. Like,
there you go.
You can do it. You can easily kind of write on the fly.
Well, it's in. Yeah, I know.
And if we've
sort of like, and this probably brings it back to more what the show is generally about, which is like the economics or whatever of like all this stuff, but I feel like I'm in like this sort of place where I spent so much of my time over the last like 15 years, like trying to write scripts, trying to sell shows, and that's kind of what I've gotten the most success at. Like with that show I had on True TV for a while, that's probably like where I was able to financially, profit the most for how much time I was doing for how much I was getting for it. But now it's like, yeah, it is frustrating to like put all this time into like shows or script, and then if they get canceled or this, then nothing, then you got nothing at the afterwards, on a show like that. So I'm like, well, is it better to just put all that effort and time into trying to do like you're saying? The problem is, for the first long time, you're not going to get shit, and you're just going to lose a lot of money doing that, like editing your own.
But the reason I'm pushing it only as the advisor you didn't ask for is that
because you want to bankroll it.
You're rebranding.
No,
you're rebranding it now.
You had an inertia to do it. You had the idea for a reason. And I didn't really put it together. I knew you were from a small town. So you have that thing like, hey, this isn't as bad as everybody makes it out to be just because it's a small town. Like there's good in everywhere kind of thing.
Now there's post-COVID. Now you can see what the small towns are doing post-COVID. You guys all had to work from home.
No, I think it would be super interesting for sure. I definitely think it would be super cool.
Do it in 15-second clips to start with. Just go like when you're in Plano, just go, all right, I'm going to seriously, like do it for stories.
What was 15-second clips? Like they say Plano, Texas is this. It's not. Good night. Thank you.
But you know what I mean? Like I'm thinking about it in the position you're putting it out in. And like, if you can kind of make it or a story, a legit story kind of told in 15-second chunks where you're not, but you're going like, I'm going to have it be 3 minutes. It'll be a 3-minute video on YouTube. But let it be unedited. If there's anything we learned in COVID, the AV quality pales in comparison to like what if it's actually entertaining, right? Sure. Or interesting, or like infotainment a little bit too, because you're telling people about these places that they might think is a fucking road stop, right?
No, I mean you're right. I mean I think it's sort of like it's mentally having to get around that. Like I don't know what it is. Like I can sit there and try to write a script for a year, and I feel like, well, the good thing is, eventually I'm going to bring this out. I'm going to sell this. I'm going to get some going. But doing this stuff, it's like, you just have to do the nuts and bolts of the shit, and you have to put it up there and have nobody watch it, and then just have to keep on doing it.
We do the same exact shit.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's because it's for mentally. Yourself. It's because it's for you.
And it's hard to mentally, and that's why I've stopped doing my own podcast. I just feel like it's just frustrating. It's like it seemingly is impossible to get anyone to really listen to it. It's so hard to get on, the big podcast that can launch it.
Oh, that's a whole other ball game. Like to get like on the Apple list and shit. Like the new
guy was on Corolla. When we were on Corolla?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
My thing is like one doesn't take the other's place, right? You can still do all the things you're doing. I'm sure you can find, pockets of time. If anything, on the road, you have these weird amounts of time to like, at least you're doing something productive. And I'm willing to bet, because this is how I roll, like the more stuff I'm doing in the right direction, even if it's not getting the exact result I want right away, it helps me do other things, right? So while you're doing that, it might get your brain moving to do the script or a scene from a script because you're out there observing stuff.
No, you're absolutely right. In fact, I have a video on my YouTube right now called Live from the Edmonton Mall that I edited all together in the airport yesterday.
There you go.
I was sitting around wanting to kill myself, but it's pretty good.
You already did the template. You already have it. You just did it.
And do it for you anyway. You do jokes for yourself kind of on stage. We all do.
It's good for your brain.
I do jokes for pussy.
Oh, that's
I met my wife.
That's how you get a doctor. So. Yeah.
Nice.
I
literally, I met my wife at a comedy show. So my whole goal has always been to just do comedy, to make a girl who makes a lot of money fall in love with me off these sweet, sweet dick jokes.
Yeah. And she's like, I know about dicks. And you're like, I know dick jokes. Doctor. Yeah. Right. What is it? I'll tell we'll ask you the question we ask everybody the first time on. I'll tell you the Jackie Mason story real quick. I got flown back. I lived in LA, got flown back by a family friend who was booking Jackie Mason at the Strauss Theater, which is a big theater here. And I was like, he thought I'd be a draw for some reason to this show. Jackie Mason, this is probably 2010, 2009, somewhere in there. So I've been doing it 4 years, 5 years.
So that's like right around the same time I shot that movie.
Really?
He was really busy that year.
Well, it could be 2008. I don't know. I pushed this memory out. It is the worst gig I've ever done. So it's like 4 p.m. showtime, something like ridiculous. You're like, this is really leaning into the old crowd. Now I get up. Now it's like you're going to do 10 minutes, and I'm like, dude, I don't have 10 clean minutes. Like I don't have 10 minutes for this crowd. He's like, you're gonna be fine. You don't worry about it. Like the guy who booked me, family friend kind of thing. And I was like, okay. And my dad, who's never seen me do stand up, brings his 3 best buddies that know I'm doing stand up. They've never seen me. They don't think I'm funny my whole life, nor does my dad. And so they're trying to be supportive. The theater, what do you think? 2,500 seater? Bigger, maybe something.
I feel like I was there, but I wasn't.
You saw Segura there, right?
Oh, Strat Center. Oh, that's right. Jesus, that makes it worse.
It's a big theater, right?
Ugh.
House lights are up. I can see everybody. The first 5 rows, no one's sitting in. My dad and his 3 friends, they're center, the first people
like
from
cut out, like
pretty
highlighted.
much. It was like it might as well be a halo around them. I can see everybody has either no hair or blue hair. There's no.
Oh my God, that must be the oldest. Plus, Jewish crowds are generally horrible because they're so hard. Jewish crowds because they don't drink. They're too smart to laugh at the hacky shit. They're too politically correct to laugh at the fucked up shit, and they're not going to laugh at the dirty stuff.
Right.
Like, it's really tough.
Right, especially 4 p.m. and look, me being like 60 years younger than Mason at the time or something like that. And so
like they're not going to like your rap joke.
No. And I think I did like that material because I was like, this is my A stuff.
My
whatever, man.
Puckers every time I hear it.
I remember being in the dressing room. Like I've never been this nervous to puke, but I might puke. Get out there, bomb. Jackie Mason like gives me like a I pass him, like I don't even get to shake his hand, like he just gave me like a fat kind of thing.
I can picture it perfect.
As he walked by, gets up, does the hackiest fucking what you think he would do, fucking murders. The place is alive. It is Def Jam Central in there. It is like the Apollo Theater fucking crushing.
That's pretty impressive because he was 80 at that time.
Yeah.
He must have been 79 or 80. I mean, that's pretty
to come back from your shitty set.
Yeah, to have to bury your goy old shit.
I know.
You have to dig out. It
was like the good old days.
Temple. You had to rebuild the entire temple after you burned it to the ground.
Yeah. If Jews haven't suffered enough,
how did he die?
So I was at Robbie Slowick's wedding in Catskills when he died. And I was trying to figure out. I was trying to figure out how old he was. I think he was 83 when when I opened for him.
Holy fuck!
Because it was just a weird kind of coincidence. I was in the Catskills at basically a comedian summer camp wedding kind of thing with Robbie Slowick and Casey Balsham, and like I've never been up there, upper New York, and he died. And I was like, it's so fucking weird. All that kind of weird energy.
It is weird. My dad was a waiter in the Catskills, and he said he used to see Jackie Mason coming up to those. My dad was a waiter at those old resorts and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not what it was kind of weird. Weird kind of. I don't know. Maybe it's the Florida in me. I've just never been up in that area.
I don't think I have either. Yeah, I've never been up there. But that's a pretty crazy story. You know, I had a similar one. I opened for Julio Iglesias twice, and that was just also a fucking nightmare.
What?
Yeah, and it was
not Enrique. His dad, Julio.
No, dude. I literally got
Iglesias there.
My mom.
I had like an agent at GERS or CAA at the time, or somebody was hip pocketing me or something, and
that's where my agents were too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they sent it, and they were like, "Well, I'm not with them now. If it makes you feel better."
You're gonna do your own thing, man.
I'm not with them now.
You're gonna take the bull by the horns. You're gonna do your own shit.
So the guy sends it to my manager. He's like, Julio Iglesias. I'm like, he's got to be wrong. It's got to be Gabriel, right? He's like, no, let me check. He goes, my manager goes, yeah, no, I think it's Gabriel. And he checked. He goes, no, it's Julio. So same thing. My parents brought my uncle and stuff to see me open for him. And my dad, they'd already seen me, whatever. But they were like, my dad said he remembers thinking, "Oh, he's gonna fucking bomb," because he was in the bathroom and he heard these people. No, I did bomb. And then after I was off stage while Julio was up there, my dad said he was in the bathroom and he heard people in Spanish complaining that Julio was doing too many songs in English. So I had no chance.
You had a language barrier.
Then I have it open for the next night and it went better, but it was still fucking insane.
Did you do like all?
Did you do it in Spanish?
It was a nightmare, but he did some crazy shit it was a San Francisco show and a Reno show, and he did some crazy shit on stage that I was like my best bit for years. I talked about it. I did it on Conan, so it was at least it had that going for it.
Do it here. Do it right now. And then we'll
people got to go to my YouTube. YouTube.
Go to YouTube.
Okay, you did. I did think you were going to tell a story.
You took a pause like you were going to do it.
I was going to, but I figured let me check.
So it's on YouTube. You know,
but it is the best Julio Iglesias story you'll ever hear.
No, I agree.
Can't wait to hear it.
I used to have to listen to him almost every morning because my mom liked him, Michael Bolton, and just flip flop in the CD changer and the Acura.
I never met him. 2 nights I worked with him, I never met him.
That's weird too. Like if
worked with him, never met him. How's that? A true.
I feel like if you're that big too, you kind of want to touch all the bases just real quick before the show. Hey, what's up? Or maybe after. I don't know.
Cool.
It also took me 6 months to get the $1,000 I earned for the 2 shows combined.
Oh, that's the other thing. You're like, all right, at least this gig sucks, but I'm going to get paid. And we're used to getting paid.
They got their shit
right
on lockdown.
after.
They know what they're doing. They get payroll out. They got a guy who does it. It's not a problem.
Dude,
never going to get a runaround.
Yeah, that is a motherfucker. You have to wait for so long to get that fucking check.
It's union and distribution like that. You have to go for 5 people before it gets to you. You know.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, look, I appreciate you coming on, kind of, on the fly and sleep deprived from Edmonton. We ask everybody the first time they're on the show this question: What advice would you give your 13-year-old self?
Fuck. Oh my God, that's tough.
There you have it.
Yeah.
Me too.
God.
You're out in the sticks.
My 13-year-old self.
You can go in a time machine, go back, get yourself by the lapels, and go.
I think the advice I would give myself was being an athlete is never going to work out. Being tough is never going to work out. It's not going to matter if you're tough or a good athlete or cool very soon. So just focus on the things that you're good at.
Would your 13-year-old self listen to you if you said that?
Absolutely not.
You,
I mean,
I'd be like, fuck time travel, bro. I don't give a fuck.
Like, I tell this story. I've told this story before, but and it's a little different since, the last few years he's had. But when I was a kid, I was really into theater and drama and stuff. And then I hit a point where I was like, oh, that shit's stupid. I want to go to be into baseball or whatever. I was really young. And my mom was always trying to get me to go to this clown camp that was out in the sticks. This crazy guy named Wavy Gravy, who was the original. He was the original MC of the original Woodstock. So this old hippie clown, and he had this clown camp. My mom was always like, "You should go to the clown camp." I'm like, fuck that! I want to be a baseball player. Blah blah blah. And then I tried to be an athlete. It all kind of failed completely. And then I wound up doing comedy again as I got older. And then I got to LA and I found out that a guy who did go to the clown camp was TJ Miller.
Really?
I was like, son of a bitch.
It's performing.
Wow.
Yeah, I should have stuck with it.
Yeah, no, that's all.
I get it.
Wild. Yeah.
I push weird shit like that on my kids all the time. Like,
you
don't want to try it? Okay, I'll try it.
TJ Miller, the funniest guy in our generation, and especially at the time when I found that out, I'm the guy who's booking every part that I want to get, TJ Miller gets. And then I'm like, I should have gone to clown camp.
It makes sense, but it makes sense now that I think about it, because he would go, rumor had it, he'd go on at Zany's in Chicago or all around Chicago and just improv an hour.
Full makeup?
No, but he would act out. Like, he would do silly stuff, but he was also very, very smart, too. Like, just very cerebral, but also would do silly act outs and stuff. That's honestly, that's interesting.
So I think that would be the advice. Also, I don't know. That's probably it. Just don't be such a pussy and just stop being so afraid of failure, because it'll work out. You just gotta fucking just do it.
That's the old man wisdom we like to hear. Where you that would be the blunt.
Don't be a fucking pussy.
You'd be time traveling on your way to tell yourself, and you'd be like, I'm just gonna cut this down.
Fucking wolf, I'm so good.
I'm gonna economize this to don't be a pussy.
Yeah. Well, you gotta make a 13-year-old connect to what you're saying.
You gotta make him flinch.
Right. Yeah.
You move, bitch.
Put your boner under your belt when you're
Did you guys
dancing.
go to the Jake Paul fight the other day down in Tampa?
I
did not see that.
Missed that one, huh?
Nah, I mean, look, there's a lot of things that go on around Florida that we both got kids, man. So it's kind of like,
oh, that's right.
Nights are tough a lot of the time.
Yes.
But we got to get you down here at Side Splitters. I hope.
Yeah, man, I love that guy. Did not respond to our emails.
Keep doing it.
That's good.
Keep hitting him up. You know what? We just had an episode before with another comic that we recorded. BT at Side Splitters. He actually is very good about answering almost everybody. It's going to take a couple times to hit him up. So just keep following up.
We'll stay on him. Well,
like if there's anything on the business side of this podcast, we talk a lot about a lot of business is just following up. It's just
it's true.
It's just follow up no matter what field you're in. So thanks for coming on, buddy. And I hope to see you down here soon.
Thanks, man. JCVD, Jews.
Oof, it was fun. We covered it all, baby.
We really got it done, guys. Thanks.
We did it.
Figured it out.
We're heroes. All right, buddy. See ya.